Well, good morning and welcome to the Sheppard Company Podcast. I'm thrilled to have Robyn Bolton, the founder and chief navigator of MileZero, here with us today. Robyn is the author of an amazing new book titled Unlocking Innovation, a leader's guide for turning bold ideas into tangible results. Robyn, good morning. Good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Well, Robyn, let's dive in right away. So I think for this audience of equipment dealers and manufacturers, let's hit the nail on the head with the first question around innovation. What is innovation?
Innovation, to me, is something new that creates value. And so that's a really short definition, but it packs a lot of punch. So first thing, something. A lot of people tend to think of innovation that it has to be a product.
Right.
And it doesn't. Innovation can certainly be a product, but it can also be a service. It can be a process. You think of the Toyota production system.
Right.
That was a huge innovation. It can even be a way of making money, how you earn revenue. So innovation doesn't have to be a product. It needs to be something. Then new is really important because a mistake a lot of people make is thinking that innovation has to be new to the world.
Okay.
And that's a really high bar.
Okay.
And so certainly innovation can be new to the world, but it can also be new to your industry. It can be new to your company even. So it doesn't have to be new to the world. It just needs to be new to something.
Okay.
And then the most important part is creates value. That's the difference between invention, which is just something new, and innovation. It creates value. And value can also be a lot of things. It can be revenue, profit, cost savings, but it can also be customer loyalty.
Right.
It can be employee loyalty. So there are a lot of things that can be value.
Amazing. So great point. Love the value perspective. And let's go a bit deeper there just for a minute. Where do you think dealers, and I'm kind of jumping to the very end of our call, but we'll come back to this as well. Where do you think dealers should start in terms of creating value? Is it maximizing their own internal value, their revenue, their profitability, their cash flow? Is it focusing on customer value, solving customer problems first, faster, quicker, more efficiently? What are your thoughts around where to begin that value innovation activity?
All of the above. And I know that sounds like a lot. So let me try to break it down. Is that one of the first things that I work on with clients about innovation is having a portfolio. That's right. Innovation, it can be kind of risky. Mm-hmm. And just like our investments and our retirement plans, the best way to manage risk is with a portfolio.
Right.
Same thing with innovation. So there's always three types of innovation that I tell people they have to focus on. One is absolutely that incremental or core innovation.
Okay.
Doing what you do better, faster, cheaper, etc.
Okay.
Second is called adjacent innovation. And that is, mixing things up a little bit. Maybe you're targeting a new customer with products you already have. Or maybe it is coming up with a new product or a new service or a new offering for your existing customers. And then the third type is radical innovation. And I actually recommend that most established companies avoid this.
Okay.
Because it's so risky and it takes so long to do that very, very few companies have the resources and the patience to try it.
Right.
So back to your original question, should they be focused on improving what they do or should they be looking at new customers? It's and, not or.
Okay, great perspective. So it's not choosing one or the other, but it's the entire suite, if you will, of innovative opportunities. Fantastic. So kind of along the same lines, Robyn, when I think about dealers in our industry, and I'm just coming back, as I mentioned before our call, from an industry event where dealers were looking at the impact of AI in their business and how to be able to respond to customers faster. But one of the things that came up repeatedly was around this concept of having a playbook for your dealership and being able to basically define, here's how I run my business, here's how I will consistently meet the needs of my customers. It's very predictable, very consistent, very efficient, all those kind of things, all the above. That seems to fly in the face, though, of innovation, where innovation is almost a paradoxical, opposing entity, if you will, to having a playbook. How do you recommend dealers reconcile this concept of having a playbook about how they run their business versus innovating either, I love your points here, either incrementally or in adjacent fields? What are your thoughts around that?
You could absolutely have a playbook for innovation. The difference is, I talk a lot about guardrails. So you think about, railroad tracks, right? That is, you put the train on the tracks and it goes on the tracks and it doesn't deviate. And that can be your playbook for how you run your dealership.
Okay.
On the road, you have guardrails on the side of the road, but I don't recommend it, but you can kind of swerve in between them. And you have more room for movement, room for exploration. That's your innovation playbook.
Okay.
It's not, follow these steps and you get X result, but it doesn't have to, and it shouldn't be complete chaos, making things up, because that's where the risk comes in. And innovation, as sexy as it sounds, honestly, it's all about managing risk and managing resources.
So having a defined way to run your business is totally fine, but then on the parallel, if you will, in the bike lane,
yes,
adjacent to the main road, certainly having guide rails to drive innovation. So I think about it, if we go into an example for a second. When we look at how dealers innovate, and maybe I'll ask my question and come back to a point around service innovation. But when dealers think about innovation, typically the thought process is that the OEMs are the innovators. They're innovating new products. I think about crop science, crop health, how we're managing to this point a prescription per individual plant with machines that can target certain kinds of chemicals to each individual plant. We have grade control. We have different kinds of technologies and machines. These are all great OEM innovations. And I think dealers might think that there's no space for innovation within their field of distribution. What are your thoughts around how to innovate in the dealership?
I think the dealers have an incredible opportunity to innovate. So if we go back to the definition of innovation, that it's something, that's where the dealers have room to play. So the OEMs are innovating products, and there's opportunity there for the dealers to give them feedback, kind of say, hey, this is what we're hearing from customers, this is what they're liking, this is what they're not. But the biggest opportunity for the dealers is actually, I would say, in service innovation.
Okay, interesting.
And what's so exciting about that is that they have complete control over it as dealers, and it can often be extremely simple and cheap and risk-free. So, quick example, just to illustrate that.
Please.
Recently, I was going through a really big, really complicated multi-step purchase. And, as I sat down with the people who were to guide me through it and counsel me, I kept asking, okay, well, what's the next step? What's the step after that? Because for me, I want to understand everything end to end, and then, go deep as it's required.
Yes.
And it became apparent to me that the people on the other side of the table were used to giving customers the information they needed right then and there, and didn't want to overwhelm people with all of the details.
Okay.
And so it left me incredibly frustrated for months. And they were completely oblivious to every time that I had a meltdown, why that was going on. All they needed to do was at the very beginning say, hey, this is a complicated process. How do you best like to get your information? Do you want it kind of need to know step by step, or do you want it all at once?
Okay.
One question for 30 seconds would have completely transformed the experience and given every single one of their customers the experience they wanted, instead of only probably half.
Amazing. So Robyn, what's going through my mind is there are so many opportunities, to your point, in how we deliver our customers' experience in parts and service and sales, even within finance, that could be improved. And I think about even just a simple example recently of calling customers back during the work order repair process to let them know that their machine is at a current state of repair. So either using a texting platform or an emailing platform, but those kinds of innovative steps. And we say in the industry, of course, if you make it easy for your customers to do business with you, they will. And the opportunity, to your point, of making it easier for our customers certainly seems profound.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my car dealership, last time I took my car in, they sent a video once they were done with the service to be like, okay, here's what we did, showing me the car. I will be their customer for life. I didn't understand a single thing in that video, but the fact that they made it and they showed me my car as they were talking about it, like, I trust you completely.
Totally. Makes it relevant, personal. That's your experience.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. So Robyn, if we go back to your 3 types of innovation, incremental, adjacent, radical, certainly agree that the radical innovation in the dealership environment likely isn't the best fit. But from an incremental standpoint, typically we think that incremental improvement is safer than innovation in terms of how we think about radical change or big changes. How do we reconcile the incremental improvements, CI, total production system type improvements, incremental change over time, compared to a more innovative approach to business? Or are they one and the same, perhaps?
They can be one and the same in that I think everything needs to start with understanding your customer and what they need, the problems they have, how you can help them and create value for them. The difference is with the core innovation, it does tend to be lower risk, lower cost, quicker to implement, and feel a lot more comfortable. With the adjacent innovation, there's more risk, there's a little bit more time there, and you need to spend some time kind of trying new things and having conversations. So another story, quick example, I was working with a manufacturer of pumps and compressors. And one of the ideas we had was to help gas stations kind of accurately measure how much fuel they had in the fuel tank, because that's how they get paid, it's government regulated, all of this stuff. And so, my client was working on technology and software to help with that. And this was this was an adjacent innovation. It was going to kind of be a big bet for them. And as a quick check, we went and talked to the potential customers. And what we found out was that the gas stations actually used just a wooden stick. And they put the stick in the tank, they mark off what the level was before and the level after, and they know how much that gallons that is. And we realized they were extraordinarily happy with the stick because the stick never needs repairs. The stick just sits in a corner, doesn't bother anybody, and they have full control over it. And even though there was this amazing technology that could give them something so much more precise, it would not be as good as the stick.
Right. Isn't that something?
And doing that, just check, it was 5 phone calls, literally 5 phone calls. We heard the same thing from everyone, and we canceled the project and saved millions. Plus, we were able to accelerate a different project and, exceeded their revenue goals by 4x.
So Robyn, that almost begs the question, you really got me thinking now, in terms of how dealers innovate. There's a lot of great ideas in the dealership. Do we respond more to a customer pull, or do we try and push a new idea to market? And I'm thinking about things like finance, how we structure some retail deals, using different kinds of technology tools with our customers that may appear to engineers like me to be awesome tools, but there's no customer pull. So how do you recommend we think about innovating? Is it a customer pull, or do we try to change the market need by coming up with a new solution for which there's maybe no evident problem? What do you think?
100% customer pull. And I will say that with a tiny asterisk, that customers will not tell you what to make for them. They will not say, hey, I would love a financing option that does X. So don't expect that. What they will tell you is what frustrates them about what's currently available, why they don't like it, what they wish they could do instead, which is probably wrong and probably not the best idea. but they won't tell you exactly what to create. So you, the dealer, you're the expert in your business. Hear the pain points, hear where there will be pull, and then create the solution, the thing that creates value by solving that problem.
Okay, amazing. So it sounds like you're encouraging dealers to ask a lot of questions. Is that fair to say?
Yep. Always ask questions, ask open-ended questions. One of the three questions that you can never go wrong with are, just describe your day. When you're talking to customers, just tell me about your day from start to finish.
Okay.
What's the best part of your day? What's the worst or most frustrating part of the day? And when you ask those questions, stop at the questions. Don't give them multiple choice, because you want them to just talk. Most importantly, ask those open-ended questions, because when you ask those, that's how you're going to discover something new, something unexpected, and something that your competitors don't know.
So this is powerful stuff. I'm just going to recap the 3 questions. Describe your day. We're asking customers these questions. Describe your day. What is the best part of your day? And what is the most frustrating part of your day?
Mm-hmm.
So Robyn, when should dealers ask these questions of their customers, and who should ask these questions?
Ooh, great question. Dealers should ask these questions whenever they have a chance to. It doesn't need to be some special moment or a survey. Ask it when the opportunity arises. And the person who should ask is the person that the customer, I'd say, has the deepest and most trusting relationship with. So if that's the service manager should ask. If that's the salesperson should ask. Because the most important thing is getting really honest, truthful, and thoughtful answers. And trust is the best way to get that.
Amazing. And so in our industry, the most trusted person in a dealership with our customers tends to be the field service technician. They're repairing the customer's machine, they're on site, they feel the customer's pain. So what a phenomenal idea to have our field service technicians ask our customers when they're on site, describe your day to me today, what's the best part, what's the most frustrating part, and then to feed that information back to their peers, to the service, to the parts manager, to the GM, to the owner from the field. What a great pipeline for information back to the dealership, I think. What are your thoughts around that?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I think the closer you can get to the customer in terms of having that conversation, the better. The key is making sure that there is a way to capture what's said right away after the conversation.
Right.
Because everyone's so busy rushing to the new thing. And make sure there's a way to get that information that's captured back to the dealer and to the right folks. And so again, it just takes a little bit of thought and planning of saying, okay, I don't know, in your notebook or wherever you keep notes, write this down, make sure to transmit it to these people, or I don't know, at the end of your day, have a call with this person so you can share it. It's important just to be thoughtful about it, because it won't happen by accident.
Of course, yep. Guys get busy, it falls off the map, and then nobody actually hears the feedback as well. Yep. Amazing. Robyn, I'm going to ask you for a final thought before we conclude today, but I'm going to just recap some of the key things that I've heard today, which I think are really powerful for dealers to reflect on. We have 3 different kinds of innovation: incremental, adjacent, and radical. We're going to avoid the radical for the time being in the dealership, but we're going to think about the incremental. And one of the more powerful ways to do that, knowing that dealers can innovate as actively as their OEMs, is to ask the 3 questions which you posed. Describe your day to the customer. What is the best part of your day? What is the most frustrating part of your day? Our field service technicians can absolutely do that even once a week. Document the information in an email real time or a text, send that back to their parts and service managers. Now we have a path for innovative feedback from our customers. Robyn, final thought or comment for this audience?
I'd say I completely understand the hesitancy around innovation, the desire to work on what you can control. And I would just suggest pushing the boundary a little bit, doing something that feels a little bit uncomfortable. Don't, as I say, stretch, don't splatter.
Right.
But you can have a playbook for innovation. You can make small tweaks that dramatically reduce your risk and have huge results and benefits for you.
Robyn, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Folks, you can pick up a copy of Robyn's book on Amazon, Unlocking Innovation. And as a special feature for today's podcast, for the first 5 folks that respond to the podcast online or comment down below, Robyn has graciously offered to send you a complimentary and signed copy of her book, Unlocking Innovation. Robyn Bolton, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been great.